What's going on? What's happening? What's happening? Peace and power and elevation be to everybody. This your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. I'm back. So, you guys, I decided to restart this video, the Tony Martin video, because the previous video that I did was like really horrible. So, I just want to go ahead and restart this video. So the topic is about Tony Martin, who was a scholar and also an educator, and he was also an author. So he was originally from Trinidad, okay, but he lived in places like England and then moved over here to America and stayed in New York. So Tony Martin was known to be very controversial, especially when it comes down to talk about the Jews and the history of slavery. So by him speaking on the Jewish people being involved in slavery, in the transatlantic slave trade, it brought about a lot of controversy. So, he was getting too many backlashes from administrators, faculty members, even college students. People were just coming at him left and right because they felt like he was just in the wrong. Now, there is the truth behind it. So yes, Jews were involved in the slave trade, especially in the Caribbean. So like there were Jews who owned plantation, had slaves on plantation, whatnot. Okay. And as I did in my previous video about Jews and slavery, there's books that can validate this. Okay. This come from the Jewish scholars themselves who actually did the research, who actually studied and put out these information. Okay. Now, the only thing the Jewish scholars had issue with was how the Nation Islam framed things. So they felt like the Nation Islam tried to make them to be the majority of the population of Europeans who were owning slaves and controlling them. And so that would brought about a lot of controversy. That would made scholars come out and say, well, let's rebuke this claim. Let's set the record straight. Let's get this right. So their argument is that the Jews were not the majority when it came to owning slaves. However, they did have slaves, but they weren't the main ones transporting slaves from the continent to North America and Latin America and the Caribbean. That was their whole argument. So they wanted to dispute the claim that they made up the majority of population of people. All right. So they felt like people like Tony Martin and those in the Nation of Islam, they were trying to spread some form of propaganda. So what I'm going to do is I'm going over his biography, and then I am going to give you guys some reading materials that you all can look into. Okay. So he had a book that he written about Marcus Garvey. All right. And he has an article that I want to read as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the biography. And this comes from the website called Africans in Yorkshire Project.com. African in Yorkshire Project.com. Okay. So African stories in Hull and East Yorkshire. So it says Tony Marr was born in Port of Spain, Trinidad on February 21st of 1942. His secondary school education took place at Tranquility School, Trinidad, before he moved to England, where he studied law at Gray's Inn, London. While there, he was summoned to the bar in 1966. In 1968, Dr. Martin moved to Hull University, where he received a BS or Bachelor in Science and Economics with honors, right? He then taught in Trinidad at the Soprani Labor College and St. Mary's College. So in 1969, Dr. Martin headed to the United States to pursue graduate studies in African history at Michigan State University. While there, he earned an MA and then a PhD in 1973. Okay. So Dr. Martin taught at Wesley College from 1973, where he was founder and chair of the Africana Studies Department. In 1975, he was tenure and later became a full professor in 1979. He also taught at the University of Michigan Flint. He was a visiting professor at the University of Minnesota Brandeis University, Brown University, and Colorado College. He also spent a year as an honorary research fellow at the University of the West Indies, Trinidad. Dr. Martin retired in June of 2007 as professor emeritus after 34 years teaching at the Africana Study Department. All right, so it says Dr. Martin was a lecturer and author of academic articles about the subject of Black history, mainly the Black nationalist leader Marcus Garvey, whose narrative centered on the topic of Jewish involvement in the American slave trade. This put him in a situation where he was accused of being anti-Semitic and most hateful and was subject to student harassment and critical analysis. On that point, with ATZ Mon 2016 confirmed that Jewish history has a Black side to it that is not flattering. Dr. Martin has reached the conclusion that Jews dominated the slave trade. The Black American academic also has also speculated that Jewish and Zionist support for the civil rights movement was driven by Jewish self-interest. This suggestion made Professor Martin the subject of orchestrated Jewish onslaught led by the ADL, AJC, and Jewish student unions. So it says that he received awards and honors from the American Philosophical Society and the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization. So he died on January 27th of 2013 in Cocorine, Trinidad. Wow. And that's that information. So again, he had received so much backlash about what he said about the Jewish people. Now, and the reason he spoke on that again, because he came from the Caribbean islands of Trinidad. So there were Jews that owned slaves on the plantation. And also, according to one of the Jewish authors, there were Jews who owned slaves in Jamaica. So they had their own plantation in Jamaica as well. Okay. So again, if you guys want to look more into that, look at my previous video, Jews and Slavery. And I go into the books, the name of the authors, and all. All right. So let me go ahead and present one of the articles that he wrote. And this article was about Carter G. Woodson and Marcus Garvey. So right here, this came out in 1977. Carter G. Woodson and Marcus Garvey, published by the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. Okay, and it can be found at jasper.org, which stands for Journal Storage. So as you can see right here, I'm gonna go into I'm going to go into this little paragraph right here. So it says Carter G. Woodson is generally acknowledged as being one of the most important Black historians, prolific author though he was. He was no armchair historian, but popularized Black history among the mass of people. He also indulged in extensive social commentary and polemicized against all those exalted or humble in whom he discerned shortcomings. Woodson was also, among other things, a contemporary of Marcus Garvey. The Journal of Negro History, founded by Woodson, first appeared in 1916, the year of Garvey's arrival in the United States. The celebration of Black History Week, pioneered by Woodson, was begun in 1926, the year before Garvey's deportation to Jamaica. And just as Woodson, the historian, also indulged in politically activist causes, so too Garvey, leader of the largest mass movement in Afro-America, was also keenly interested in Black history. It stands to reason that the paths of these two giants of the 1920s should have crossed. Garvey's publication commented regularly on Woodson and his work. The two men had mutual friends and acquaintances. Woodson's political activity brought him precariously close to being drawn into the Marcus Garvey Must Go campaign aimed at Garvey's imprisonment and deportation. And Woodson eventually became a regular columnist for Garvey's weekly Negro World. So he did wrote for Garvey. And it says, some of Woodson's earliest contacts with Garveyite circles came through his friendship with John Edward Bruce, Garvey's staunchest supporter among the Afro-American intelligentsia. Bruce, a journalist, historian, and political activist, he founded the Negro Society for Historical Research in 1911. In this endeavor, he was assisted by Arthur A. Schomburg, historian and bibliophile. Schomburg seemed a little peeved at the appearance of Woodson's Journal of Negro History in 1916. It was a very credible effort, he wrote to Bruce, but one which was stealing our thunder. This did not prevent him from unselfishly promoting Woodson's journal. He sent a copy to prominent Nigerian chairman Mojola Abibe, one of the relatives Akimbami Abibe was soon to become a Nigerian agent for Garvey's Black Star Line. During a visit to Washington, D.C., Bruce tried but was unable to locate Woodson in order to introduce him to Dusay Muhammad Ali, the Egyptian Sudanese journalist, Pan-African activist, and historian who was at that time associated with Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association. It says, but not all of Woodson's early Garveyite contacts came through Bruce. An early contributor to the Journal of Negro History was Jamaican historian E. Eldred Brown, or is it Ethered Brown? Anyways, whose article later appeared regularly in the Negro World. So the historical interests of Garvey, Bruce, Ali, and Brown are symptomatic of a very widespread interest in Black history amongst Garvey lieutenants. Among the editors of the Negro World were such professional and amateur historians as Hubert H. Harrison, William H. Ferris, and Bruce himself. Other Black historians such as Schomburg, Ali, and J. A. Rogers could be found among the paper's regular contributors. It comes as no surprise then to find that the Negro World was frequent and favorable commentator on the work of Woodson and his association for the study of Negro life and history. All right, so just to stop there, I mean, there's more you can look into this article, and there's plenty of other articles that Tony Martin has written, but I was not able to find the ones that I was looking for that I wanted to present, so I just went on ahead and present this one. But yeah, this is one of the articles that he wrote about Garvey. Again, he wrote a lot about Garvey history and how Garvey spoke on the Jewish people. All right. Let me go ahead and share the books. So one of the books that he wrote regarding to the controversy about the whole Jewish situation. Hold on. Okay. So this book right here, which I recommend people to get, is called The Jewish Onslaught, Departures from Wesley Battlefront. All right, so that's one of the reading materials that people can look into, purchase, and all. Then there's another one. The last one. So this one is called Marcus Garvey, Message to the People, The Course of African Philosophy, edited by Tony Martin. The New Marcus Garvey Library, number 7. So there was a collection of books that he has written. And let's go down to where it says the New Marcus Garvey Library. A series of original works by Tony Martin. So literary Garveyism, Garvey Black Arts, and the Harlem Renaissance. That's number 1. Number 2 is the poetical works of Marcus Garvey. Number 3 is Marcus Garvey Hero, a first biography. The 4th one is Amy Ashwood Garvey, Pan-Africanist, feminist, and wife. Okay, that's number 1. Number 5 is African Fundamentalism, a literary anthology of the Garvey movement. Number 6, the Pan-African Connection from Slavery to Garvey and Beyond. Number 7 is Message to the People, The Course of African Philosophy by Garvey, edited by Tony Martin. Number 8, Race First, The Ideological Organizational Struggles of Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And number 9 is The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, edited by Amy Jacks Garvey, prefaced by Tony Martin. All right. So that's the book that was written by Tony Martin. So he did a lot of work on Garvey when it came to Black history. And that's all I have to share. So again, it was just I was redoing this video because the old video wasn't working out to where I couldn't get the sources that I wanted to share. So that's the sources. That's the information on Dr. Tony Martin. And you guys just check it out for yourselves if you guys want to learn more. All right, so with that being said, thank you for watching, for tuning in, and thank you guys that have been supporting my channel. And shout out to my new subscribers. Make sure you hit the notification bell, like the channel, share the channel, all that great stuff. Okay. So anyways, you guys, this is all I have. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm saying peace and power be to all of you, and you guys have a good one. Thank you.